Welcome to a special YouTube live event with our special guest, Sarah Moore. We did not have to commute very far to get Sarah Moore on our channel. As you may know, if you've been a fan of our work, Sarah is part of our crew. She's an actor with us. She is our social media princess, and she just took on a new project for us for podcasting. We're going to cover all that stuff, but I think right up front, we should say something about the podcasting because we kind of hey, let's do that. What is this new responsibility you have, and what will you be doing for us?
There's an exciting new track. So not too long ago, we had a novel written. It's set in the world of Chaldea, and we hired a very talented voiceover actor to read the entire book. So it would be like an audiobook version of it. And then we sort of weren't really sure the best way to start releasing that. And so we came up with this idea of doing a podcast track. We're going to be releasing a chapter at a time and instead of the whole thing. So we're taking away your ability to binge listen to it. You have to keep coming back and listen to it every week. And we're going to alternate that with KI articles from the Chaldea Informant, because every time we release a new episode in our main storyline, we also have accompanying Chaldea Informant articles that we publish on our website. But we know that not everybody loves reading, and so we're going to have me record them as my character Poppy, since she is a reporter, and then you can listen to the news of what's going on in the world of Chaldea as well. So it'll be alternating weeks. First week will be the Discordia novel, and then the next week will be the KI articles, and back and forth ad infinitum, because it is a long, delightful book, and there are 72 million articles because Steve cannot help himself. He just keeps going forever.
Yeah. So the podcast series will officially launch next week, right?
Yeah, Monday the 12th.
Monday the 12th, and so I guess you go to Spotify, or
I will post links to it on all of our social media platforms. But you'll be able to find it wherever you find your particular podcast that you like. I believe it's going to be both on like Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So you'll be able to just go and click on where you want to do it. But also there will be direct links to it from our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah, it's great having a program that will be managed by our social media princess, because I don't have to worry about I never worry about that.
Take it right off your plate. You don't have to do anything. You get to enjoy it like someone who is just consuming the project instead of running the project, which should be nice for you.
That's right. So there you go. That was like a little front-loaded plug about Sarah's new responsibility here and our podcasting program. Yes, the novel is called Discordia, The Fortis Stone. It is written by Ree Soesby, who's written a lot of novels in her career, and she did a fantastic job in this novel. And of course, Chaldea Informant articles written by Steve Connard mostly. So with that plug out of the way, Sarah, let's cover your life story. Where were you born? How were you raised? How many?
By wolves.
By wolves.
In the wilderness.
Now I think your mother is in chat. So
I think she's probably listening.
Okay. Give us the censored, the okay for parents version. And your dad too, I think, is in chat.
They're probably chatting. I'm a born and bred Midwesterner. I've lived in the Chicagoland area my whole life, except for a couple of brief forays out when I was in college. I sort of got bit by the acting bug pretty early. Started doing like some stage stuff. I did a lot of singing
age
stuff.
6, maybe.
Yeah, I think the first I think I did like a school play when I was maybe in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And that maybe is where it started. But I've always been fairly dramatic and theatrical. I did a lot of singing through high school and college. I went to college for fine arts. So I have a BFA in with an acting emphasis. And while I was there at Millikan University, I did a lot of studying of like movement, a lot of specializing in that particular sort of physical parts of acting. I was lucky enough to study theater.
Wait, I'm going to interrupt you there. When you talk about, by the way, I find it very interesting to talk to actors about the acting process, because as a director, of course, it's really, really helpful to know this stuff.
Sure.
So what do you mean by the movement of acting? Are you talking about like blocking, like where you're at on stage? Or are you talking about like fencing? Like what do you mean by that?
Sort of. So I did a lot of studying. The program I was in, they taught you that like your instrument is your body, like because you're acting, not only are you using this part and your voice, but you also need to convey everything that you're doing with your whole body. They called it like acting from your spine, right? So everything should be rooted all the way into your body, so that if you ever, even if you don't have lines in a scene, people should know what your character is feeling just by being able to look at your physicality and all that stuff. And I did a lot of like the program that I did, we took movement every semester. There was a lot of like Tai Chi. There was a lot of how do all the muscles in my body work? How can I personally use them to amplify what my character's mood is? And so the approach that my program took was very like, it was very outside in. Start with how your body is, find how your body will stand for this character, and then figure out how that works for you. And I still do a lot of that. I have done a lot of like physical comedy work, which is slapsticky, and it's all body basically. And so yeah, I've sort of used that approach. Like I think to sort of branch this into how I've been acting for you, but Poppy is she's got this like lift to her whole stance, because she's I see her very much as like a heart lead. Like she's coming from here. Her whole body is just like carrying her forward because she's so excited to do everything that she wants to do. And so her movements are a lot more gregarious and large and sort of bouncy. They're bigger than what Sarah does.
So it's interesting because when you started to say that, I was thinking about the fact that she comes from wealth as a reason that she might be bigger, in a way, like and
I think it's an interesting, her background is something that's really interesting for me, because I feel like she's bucking it so much to come do this thing that it almost becomes like an anchor for her, kind of holding her back, and she's constantly trying to shed it. So she's pulling away from it as much as possible while still using it, because like she would not be able to go be a reporter across the world if she didn't have daddy's money, because she doesn't travel with a companion, and like it's just not a thing that women do in that world. It's not something that is really available to them. And so the fact that she's kind of just like big old middle finger to the world, I'm gonna go do it.
That's one of the things I love about the character. Anybody watching Poppy's background, her father is a noble and never had sons, and tried to project some of that onto Poppy, and Poppy kind of rebelled. He tried to project more traditional values, and I feel like Poppy's always been, her big story is trying to prove to her dad that she's as cool as any son could be.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter. I just happen to be a girl, but I'm just as capable, if not more so, than any son you could have produced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
she's fun. She's tiring.
Before we leave academia, is there anything we're leaving out? Did you study acting in any other places?
I had the good fortune of studying theater in London. I got to go to London. So I studied, it was very cool. Like one of my classes was literally just like we would go to a bunch of shows in the West End and then we would break them down. So I got to really see a lot of really cool theater while I was over there. I wrote a show while I was over there. We took it to a festival in Berlin, which was amazing. And then I didn't really feel like coming back home because I was having too much amazing world expanding times. And I ended up working for a summer in Dublin for like a little experimental black box theater. And I got to be the stage manager there, and like it was amazing experience. Got to do a ton of really cool stuff while I was out.
Well, I think anything you do, you learn like 50% more if you're doing it outside your home country, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I didn't have a language barrier, so that was really helpful. So I just got to soak it up. And I also think it's really important because I went to those places not really knowing anyone. And so there weren't any expectations on me of who I was supposed to be. And I got to really take that time and like explore like what parts of me are here because they're projections from other people and what parts are actually me. And I got to really like dive into that. And I traveled everywhere while I was over there. Shout out to my parents for just like, sure, you want to go to Italy for the weekend? Go. Like it was very excellent. Thank you so much, Mom and Dad. But yeah, I got to do, you know, I traveled all over and I soaked up sort of all that culture and architecture, and at the same time just like figured out who I was at my core. And when I came back, I had a year left of school, and then I sort of struck out and figured out what I was going to do. That was all the academia.
Nice. Oh, you mentioned going to Italy. You have some family background in Italy, don't you?
I do. My grandmother, Mary Gatto, not her married name, but which is where Poppy's last name came from. We gave a little nod. She's full-blooded Calabrese, which is the toe of the boot in Italy. Yeah, that's and I believe that we still have family over there. I did not get to go to Calabrese. It was
right.
I was up in the northern part, but yeah.
Well, I'd remembered the reference from Gatto that
yeah.
It means cat. Is that right?
It does mean cat. Yeah.
Right.
And her birthday is this year. She's going to be 98 this September. Yeah.
That's great. That's
still kicking.
That's great. So let's spend a little bit of time on other projects that you've been involved in for acting. I know you were doing your own web series for a while, or YouTube
I was. Yeah. So when I got out of school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to be doing, and I thought maybe stage was where I wanted to be. And my almost husband at the time and I started a theater company, and we did a lot of stage stuff. We did some original pieces, and we did some previously published stuff. And then we had babies in rapid succession, and it's very hard to do the schedule of a long rehearsal period when you have small children. And so we switched to film a little bit because we could do more of it was more flexible if we were the ones that were setting that schedule. And we could do a lot of all of the pre-production stuff at our house. Like, we're going to have a meeting. It's your turn to hold the kid. Let's get going. So we did. Yeah, we've done a lot. We started a film production company called Romeo's Faux Studios, and we've done several short films. They've been shown at the Gen Con Film Festival and Origins Film Festival. We've done a couple other little local film stuff. We had a web series called Gamer Chick that has 3 seasons released. And it's a sort of very, very much in the nerd genre. That's where our brains and hearts lie. So we do a lot of nerdy stuff. One of our shorts involves it involves a gunfight in an illegal underground Pokemon gambling ring.
Oh, Pokemon gambling rings. Yeah.
So yeah, it's that sort of feel of like, let's blend the nerd into the fun, and we do sometimes touch on more serious stuff, but most of our stuff is fun action comedy.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Gen Con. I think that's where we met. I think we should tell the story of how we met.
It is where we met. I had put my name in a raffle to win the opportunity to go play an RPG with the owner of Gen Con. And I put my name in and assumed, like, a million people have put their name in, so I probably will not get this. And I was literally
you're the only one.
Yeah, the only one. I put my I got a phone call, like I was standing in front of the booth. I don't know if I put my name in at the very last moment, but I had walked 3 steps away and my phone rang. And they were like, yeah, you won this opportunity. Here's all the information. So great. So I found myself in your suite, which I am now very familiar with because of working with you, because it's also where I stay now. But at the time,
we should probably explain that. That's where we throw our Chaldea parties.
That is where our Chaldea parties are. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and so we were gonna play Fiasco, and we sat down, and it was Peter and I and several other men who are large men. This is important to the story because there is alcohol involved, and I was trying to just keep up with the amount of drinks that were being passed around the table.
Yeah, I think we promoted it as Fiasco and Mimosas. It was a Sunday morning, like a Sunday 10 a.m., not early on a Sunday morning. That would be a disaster, but like a Sunday 10 or 11 a.m. Fiasco and Mimosas.
We'll buy you lunch and mimosas, and you come play Fiasco. And I, at the time, was even smaller than I am now. I was just a little wisp of a thing. And I drank more mimosas than I should have.
You carried it well. I did not. I probably also drank more mimosas than
yeah, well, and then Peter started talking about how he was interested in making films, and fueled by this liquid courage, I was like, I'm an actress, you should cast me in your stuff, and shoved my business card at him. And then he poured me into the elevator. And I went back and met my husband and drove home, and was like, as I was sobering up, I was like, I perhaps mishandled that situation.
Well, I always liked people who were really tell me what you want, right? I mean,
sure.
if you're an actor and you want roles, tell me. It's like, I can't guess these things, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, I think Sarah, we just hit it off really well. I was, you've got this great personality and acting skill, and I of course, immediately wanted to cast you. I mean, it was early enough in the process that I hadn't cast a lot of, that there was room. Now it's much more difficult.
And then I found myself out in Seattle just for a trip, I think it was my birthday. And that year I was going to visit friends out in Seattle. And so I got in contact with you, and we met up for lunch, and I again drank too much wine. It was wine this time.
Perhaps. Yes. I think it was white wine. Yeah. Well, and I think, and somewhere along there, Jen Page gave you, told me that,
Jen Page endorsed me.
Yes, Jen Page endorsed. Jen Page also has like Sarah, Jen Page also has an important character in our story, but we haven't seen those characters yet because they will both be coming out.
And just like
month.
Jen, we've both shot live action stuff that has not been released. Both of us have gotten to do that. It's very cool. Like,
so yeah, it's fun making films.
It
is a lot of fun. It was it's unfortunate that it's so damn expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem.
When Steve and I first started talking about wanting to do Chaldea, it didn't take us long to figure out that we didn't have enough money to do it, not to do the whole thing in live action film. It took a while for me to kind of put my finger on why, like, okay, this is fantasy filming is about the most expensive filming you could do, that or science fiction. It's got all the complexities of a period piece, and then you throw in magic and monsters. It's tricky.
And can't buy the costumes off the rack. You can't just have people come in with like, do you have a purple shirt? Just wear that. It'll be fine. Like, you gotta. It's all. I mean,
yeah, it'd be, if you were happy doing campy, a campy story, it would be, it's great. Obviously, and there's a lot of great, more campy science fiction and fantasy out there. I think of Z Nation, which is a film. Actually, that's pretty good, but it's campy too, right? It's,
right. Yeah.
We can't get away with that. We wanted to, we're too serious.
It's a very important story.
Well, let's we should talk about the film we did together then a little bit. It hasn't been released yet, but we can talk a little bit about the making of that film. Let's see, we did that about 2 years ago, I guess.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah,
about 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years ago. It was the most recent film that we made for Chaldea. I know because I'm sitting in the set behind this piece of cardboard here is the magnificent set that we filmed. Sarah,
our set was beautiful. I loved Marco's office.
Yeah. It's, and in this film, of course, one thing I remember is that it was just incredibly hot. It was filmed in July,
hot.
In a record-breaking July heat for Seattle, and in a warehouse. And because we were filming, we couldn't have air conditioning running because that takes
all the doors had to be closed. There's no fans or anything. It was wildly hot. Like, we were all
just pouring sweat. Poor Eric with layers of and then you have a character, of course the crew is all running around half naked. I mean just like, shorts and tank
shorts top. And as little as you can get away with. Absolutely. And then like I had a leather corset on, and like when we took it off at the end of filming, it was just like, I was like, I'm so sorry for whoever has to touch this now, because I think I'm just like pouring sweat everywhere. Like, oh man. And I was incredibly sick as well. I think I had a fever for part of filming. And a cough. I had some kind of plague when I got to Seattle.
Yeah, you would do a line and then burst out into coughing.
Yeah, I would be like, I could hold it in until you would say cut, and then I would just like double over.
Yeah, it was miserable from those perspectives, but those make them memorable, in some ways too, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can't tell from my performance.
Your performance is great. Everybody, you all have a treat coming at some point in the future of this film. I think it turned out fantastic.
I always felt bad because I would come into set and sit in the makeup chair, and I would look like a swamp witch creature. My hair would be crazy, and I feel like I looked so sick. I had huge bags under my eyes, and I was like pale and so sick. And then the makeup team would transform. They'd be like, "It's fine. We'll make you a noblewoman. We've got you." And then they chased me around with water and cough drops and snacks that would not make me cough. Hot tea, like I was constantly getting like, he said, cut, put something in her, like she's gonna be fine. Yeah, wonderful team to work with. Thank goodness.
We have a great crew that's evolved over years. I mean, there's always somebody new and somebody who can't make it, but you know, there's kind of a lot of recurring stars in our crew, the Bandersnatch guys and Jordan and Blue and you know, damn, I'm blanking on the name of the
Nancy, who does our hair and wigs.
And Ken Peep, who does our costuming. And by the way, we're getting some really lovely comments in chat. I just have to interrupt and say, you know, thank you, John. Talked about the Anvil doing top quality stuff. That's good. And both of your parents for weighing in with kind words about you. Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what I, of course, remember is all the complexities around forced perspective shooting. And those of you who haven't seen this, which is probably most anybody watching this at this time, this film involves Eric Ray Anderson's character, Marco Hamilgrar. Now, Eric is kind of a big guy. He's not a super big guy, but he's kind of a big guy, but he's playing a halfling. And Sarah, of course, is somewhat dainty, a little short,
very small,
a little short, and she's playing a human. And so, in real life, Eric is definitely much taller and just generally bigger than Sarah is. But in the film, of course, to do forced perspective filming, and we did this with several combinations of his character and the other halfling character, Tilly, with various human characters. But it was especially interesting for me to see when we filmed Poppy and Marco together because of the size difference in real life, and then to make Poppy look taller than Marco and looking down at him to talk to him and him looking up at you to talk to you.
Very exciting for me to be a tall person on the set and not be the smallest person there. It was lovely. I was like, yay, look, I made it.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And we had to use, you know, tricks like you know, the eye line trick. Do you remember having lines with Marco where you're not able to look at Eric Ray Anderson because it throws off your eye line? So
I had to look down.
He's up there, right? But you're having to look like this, like you're looking down at him, and he's having to do the exact opposite. So I mean, how do you incorporate that with sort of the acting thing about listening to the person you're acting with?
Well, I could always see.
And by listening, of course, I mean when people in the acting community say you have to listen to the other actors, this is the commonly said thing.
Right. Like active listening, where you're
active listening. But a lot of that is looking at them. A lot of that is eye contact and reading what they're doing. So how did you work around that?
So I could always see him out of the corner of my eye. The way that we were staged, I could always, like, in my peripheral, I knew what he was doing. And Eric was a very giving actor, scene partner, and we would run it in rehearsal, actually looking at each other, so that we could get a good feel for what was happening in the scene itself. And then we would come to set, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do it separated slightly. And so we would be able to, I could still see what he was doing, and we had run it, and we were comfortable enough that we could do it as if we were still looking at each other. He's very consistent.
Yeah, good.
Which is great.
Well, he's talented. I think I feel so blessed with the cast that we have. And I think I've said this about every group, but I definitely feel it really passionately, in particular about this group. You know, the combination of, you and Eric Ray Anderson and Michael Smith and David Faubert is just like, it's just so much fun.
They were all so fun to play with. So fun. Like it was great because I felt like the energy really fed off each other and we could really play. And Poppy is a character who, because she's so excited about everything, it does feel like you're just playing. Very tiring version of playing because she's at 11 kind of all the time. Right. But she gets to be a little bit lighter, which is really fun, which especially because I feel like there's a lot of heavy things happening in this world, and there's a lot of like not great situations for people to be in.
Yeah, it's fun. I think Steve and I have this conversation every once in a while where, Chaldea is this big, epic, grim story. The emperor's dead and everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and and murder and mayhem. And then we cut to the collaborative format, and it's just all they're just as dramatic, they're just as worked up, they're just as excited, but it's just office politics. like an episode of The Office,
And I think, and I love sort of being that like little like ray of sunshine, but it's sort of a sneaky ray of sunshine because she absolutely has an agenda of what she wants, and she's just like using her positivity as an instrument to get it. Like this is her weapon that she's using on Marco, is she's gonna nice him to death, like until he gives her what she wants.
I think you already have Otvard wrapped around your finger. That probably took like one conversation.
Right, like, okay, it's gonna take longer to crack Marco, but like she's gonna get him. Like she's like she knows what she's doing. Yeah, it's just like silly fun, and I'm sure that she'll get herself into scrapes because she like doesn't know how to not chase a story into a place that she should probably not be going.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of naivete of like, well, no one would dare touch me because of like her upbringing with daddy sheltering her and paying for everything. I think is like, well, I might get in trouble for being somewhere, but I would never get hurt. Like no one would dare ever do anything to her physically. Like that's probably not the case in some of the places that she'd be chasing for the KI.
I think there's definitely some places that don't really give a
orcs don't care who your dad is. They don't care.
There are even humans out there. They're like, oh, I'm not from Latium.
Right. Whatever. No one's gonna miss you for a while. Yeah.
Oh, so more on chat, morally ambiguous net. I think it's somebody I know, but I don't recognize the nickname.
Who are you, morally ambiguous net? Tell us.
Thank you for all your kind words. She says she's been following, or he or she. This person says they've been following us since War Room first made an appearance. So that goes back.
Yay.
Thank you for being patient and sticking with us all this time. War Room, that's a fun one. So you have it's Rob McLennan. Okay, hi Rob.
Oh, hi Rob.
And I apologize for referring to you with the wrong pronoun there.
Thank you for clearing that up, Rob. We appreciate you.
Thank you. You have, in addition to being Poppy on our as a character in Chaldea, you've also been on most of our film shoots.
I have. The only one I missed was that very first one. Was War Room.
Yeah, and so obviously Poppy wasn't in all those films. So you are also part of our crew in addition to our cast.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what you do on the set for us.
I have bounced around into several departments. I was a PA one time. I was in the wardrobe department one time. I sort of I think I did on-set photography for one. I think it was just like, just come out to Seattle and play with us. Like, what needs help? Like, what can we do? I really loved being in the wardrobe department. That was super fun.
And which film was that?
That was the reorg.
The reorg. Okay. So this is for anybody watching the reorg. Out of all the films we made, that'll be the one that comes latest. So it'll be quite a while before we see that one. But that one features Yo. Mm-hmm. It's in part of the Yo story. Also, Kala, and a bunch of other characters. A huge cast.
Yeah, that's the biggest cast we had, and we had like a day of like a bunch of extras also.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we had including 3 of Steve's kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Kids, they're all adults now,
but they are still his children. You are correct.
It was our chance, you know. I think sometimes you, when we went to do that film, we knew we'd have a lot of extras. Steve and I were like, let's just get all our friends.
Who can we get in? Absolutely.
We got friends that we've had for decades, and kids, and family, and stuff like that. We had a lot of fun. And then you were on the Marzon shoot, which was our only outdoor shoot, which we.
I was.
You were working. What were you doing on that shoot?
I was Yasmin's personal PA.
Oh yes, that was well, we had a great shoot.
It was a long shoot. It was a real long shoot.
A lot of outdoor, a lot of big fight scene with between Marzon and Sarva.
Yeah, and that one was very prosthetics heavy and very sort of special effects heavy, and so it was very long days, and I would get up and go pick up a couple of cast members and go to set, and we would be there for like 14 hours. And then I would drop them off back at their hotels, and then I would go collapse in my Airbnb and then wake up and do it 4 hours later or whatever the next day. That set was brutal. It was cool. I think it all looked really great, but outdoor shooting is so hard to control. And we had a dog on that set too that did what it wanted to do when it.
Oh yes, Shantae was the name of the dog. Was performing as the role of Ripper. Yeah. Yeah. So Sarva picked up a dog friend here at some point, along with JJ. By the way, John Bishop is on our chat. Is JJ. Also in that storyline, playing Horseshoe Jack. So hey, Eric just joined our chat. Hi, buddies. I joined just in time to hear you say nice things about me. Oh yes.
Oh, hi, Eric. And I said it without even knowing you were there.
Yeah, well,
so it must be true.
Steve says never worked with children, animals, and orcs. Actually, I think the orc part went really well. Rick Van Meter played the role of Marzon, and
he was wonderful.
He was
so
great.
Patient.
Well, he is part of the Seattle Knights, and so he is a trained sword fighter and trained in sword and armor use. And Yasmin was not, although I thought she did really well, and but it was great to have one of the 2 actors in this fight scene to be somebody who was that's their natural habitat, is fighting with swords and armor, as opposed to an actor who does it for performance. And so he was really great to work with in that.
Yeah. And just like the sweetest person who was playing this terrible, terrible villain creature.
Right.
And like between takes, people would bring him his water and stuff. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Just like really sweet and quiet. And
yeah.
It's like, man.
He was a well-mannered orc.
Yeah. And then we would, you'd call action and he was spitting blood and punching things. I was like, ew, that's gross.
That's right. So you also have been doing our social media.
I have.
For a long time. I asked you earlier today in a staff meeting, like, how long have we been working together? It's like 4 or 5 years, I think.
I think so. I think it's maybe 5 years at this point. Also, how I got that job internet is that Peter didn't know how to Twitter. We were at Gen Con, and it was the year that we had a booth for Chaldea, and we were Jonathan Tweet had made this great like 3-card RPG that people could come to the booth and play with people in costume as Chaldean characters.
Right.
And I said to him one of the mornings of the con, I said, we should tweet the booth number. And Peter said, I don't know how to do that. I said, do you have a Twitter account? And he said, yeah. And he showed it to me. And he had the Twitter account for an entire year and never sent a single tweet. And I said, this is how you do it. And tweet it. And he did. And then like 12 hours later, he was like, what if I just paid you to do it? I don't want to do it. And I was like, all right. And that is how I started on social media. Yeah, it was great. Job interviews with Peter are great. They usually involve alcohol. This is the best.
Okay. Now, I think we're overplaying the alcohol bit a little bit.
So sorry.
Yeah. You know, people are sensitive about that these days. You know,
that's true.
Like,
my mistake. This is
isn't
just
an
my personal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, now I do the Twitter, and I do Facebook, and I do the Instagram account, which also Instagram I didn't start handling until about a year after I started on Facebook and Twitter, because I didn't know they had one, because they didn't tell me. It was the whole, and so that was like, oh, we have one of those. Like, I think it was Moon who, after I'd been working for like a year, was like, yeah, we have an Instagram. And I was like, you guys, come on. Instagram is part of the social medias.
I know. I'm not. Yeah. You know.
No, it's fine.
Very sophisticated at Twitface. You know?
This is why you have me, so I can come in.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you know, I've used Facebook quite a bit, but more just to kind of keep in track of my friends and everything like that. Yeah.
Facebook. I mean, Facebook has a really wide net that it casts, and there are some people who I am friends with that I think if they left Facebook, I don't know that I would know how to get a hold of them, because it's become so ubiquitous for what's happening.
Hey, you've mentioned earlier a couple times, I think it's no big reveal that you are majorly into geek culture. You like to play RPGs, which of course, everybody involved in Chaldea pretty much plays role-playing games. Chaldea is, closely tied to our own role-playing experience. So, but you have recently started doing some DMing of Chaldea online. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah. So I currently run a RPG actual play that's called Sarah's Table. And I do that on Sundays, and it's on Level Up TTV's channel, on their Twitch channel. And I've run several systems on there, but I am in the process of getting ready to run Maze's campaign that is set in the Chaldea world. So Maze's is like, if the polymorph system, which is the system that it's in, sort of had a baby with Dungeons and Dragons, that's what Maze's would be. It's a really streamlined dice system, but it's got that high fantasy, old kind of dungeon crawler feel to it. And it felt like something that would really work for the Chaldea world. So I'm putting that together for a little bit later. I'm trying to guilt Peter into coming on to play the game.
I will play if you ever do it on something that's not a Sunday. My Sundays are
your Sundays are important days, and I get that.
Yeah,
we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can do a very special episode of Sarah's Table, and we'll push it on a different day.
Yeah. Or I might be able to do like one Sunday, but you asked me recently for two, and I was like,
No.
My wife will kill me if I do
No,
too
I don't,
many
and I
zombies.
don't want to make Dee upset because I love
Yeah.
Dee.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I
Yeah, she's cool. She's
she's
great.
very cool.
Well, that's the day we try to go to the mountains. Dee and I try to go to the mountains every Sunday, and we didn't make it last week because my back was hurting. Oh yeah, well
Boo.
I'm not talking about that.
That's no good.
No,
But
no
I
old
understand.
man
If I were closer to the mountains, I would probably want to go there as well instead of being on a Zoom meeting. I get it.
Well, I would love to play with you sometime, but yeah. So
I don't know that we've ever played where I've been the DM. We've played together before.
Well, we didn't. We played. Yeah, we played princesses.
Oh yeah, I ran princesses for you. Peter's an excellent princess.
It's not called.
It's called the Excellence.
The Excellence. Yes, we played the Excellence. Yeah.
Peter was a fast driving princess, and he was
I
excellent.
was. That was my special princess power was driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually, in one of my Excellence campaigns recently, I had your character make a cameo because I needed a neighboring kingdom, and I was like, fast driving princess.
Woohoo.
Bring her back.
Yeah, that was fun. I found it tricky though, like to navigate sort of playing a female character while honoring and respecting women, and not not I was afraid of doing something that would come across as a male negative interpretation of feminism, of female.
Yeah.
I think it was hard to relax into that role.
Well, and the system itself, while it's a very simple, like streamlined system, you only have to roll one die.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy.
The system really tempts you into that path.
It does, yeah, and also it really sort of, you already had to think outside of your normal box because it makes you like, combat is not like, the Excellence is not a combat heavy system. It doesn't want you to solve all the problems by hitting it with a sword. And so I think it's already sort of a departure from what people are used to when they come in for RPGs. And then to throw,
are you saying that I just want to kill things with my sword? We haven't role played enough because you haven't seen everything there is to see about me.
No, there was a dwarf character that you played recently that you tried so hard to learn combat. It wasn't pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that's true. That's true. I also played a gnome character recently who loved combat. Just like, I attack.
Yeah, my cross section is really just you wanting to pick up weapons that are way too big for your small body and hit things with it. So I feel like although I do think one of the first times that you GM'd for me, I did kill the whole party and then disappear into the woods.
Oh, let's see. Was that the Egyptian theme?
Yeah. Yep.
That was a fun one-off. I haven't run that in a long time.
That was on our Chaldea set.
Yeah. It was right close. It wasn't it was the Raskeller set. Yeah, right in this studio, just a few feet.
I mean, you can't say no when when they say, hey, do you want to come play D&D and in this set of this German drinking dungeon? Like, yes, I do want to do that. And then I played an elf who just went full anti-party and just killed everyone. And then I disappeared into the woods.
Shot,
Yeah. Well, luckily, even if it wasn't going to be a one shot, I did make it a one shot by killing everyone. Sorry, friends.
It's interesting how the expectations, though, on inter-party combat or TPKs seems to be changing. Like, I thought that was still kind of a normal thing to do, wipe out a party, but I understand it might be taboo. Like, can I do that? I'm starting, for the first time here next week on Thursday, just 3 days after your podcast, or 2, on the 15th of April.
Yep.
I'll be streaming Actaroki, an RPG session, and it will be the first time I've GM'd, I think, a stream to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've run games, of course, at conventions and for friends. I've been running games for 42 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So is it okay if I kill off the whole party?
Are you asking for my permission? I say go for it. That sounds going to be good.
I'm not for your permission. I mean, I'm GM. I can do whatever. I'm just wondering, how do you think that would play on social media?
I mean, I think it depends. I think that character death can be really dynamic and really interesting if you have a place to go from it. I think that...
Well, to the grave, right? I mean,
sure.
Isn't that where you go?
Straight to it, yeah.
Unless you're killed by a necromancer and brings you back as zombies or something.
I mean, these are all options.
These are all options.
Yeah, I think that, I think that the particular thing that you are running, I don't know how much we've talked about it yet, so I don't want to give anything away, but I think that
you can say anything. We're starting to
great.
Yeah.
So you're doing this thing, and the whole point of the hunt is that it is very, very dangerous. And so I think it could be really interesting if character death is on the table, because I think that's a really dynamic part of storytelling. And we shouldn't always feel like the people we are following are 100% safe. It gets a little too cushy, I think, and you get too. Yeah, exactly. I think.
Right.
I mean,
you got to put the fear of death in the players. I mean, they've got to think that if we screw up, our lives are on the line. I mean, am I showing my age, Sarah? Is that?
No, I think it's perfect. I'm with you.
All right.
Kill all the things. Okay. I mean,
all right.
And it's funny because on Sarah's table, one of my hashtags is joyful gaming, and there's like no death on my table because we're like, it's great and solve your problems with love, and we love everyone. And then like outside, I'm like, but what if we killed everybody? That'd be great. I think all of those stories are valid. I think if you set the proper tone and you kill off your party, then I think, as long as it's interesting, and maybe not in the first 3 minutes, but like other than that.
I did kind of agree to a 6-session arc. That does kind of limit things a little bit.
Well, I mean, but there's the trope of like one of your party members died, so they're bringing in a new character. Roll it up.
That's the way we did it back in the day.
That's right.
Well, we are about out of time. Do you want to any other good GMing advice for me, Sarah? I'm looking now that I'll be doing this streaming of Actaroki. Give me any words of wisdom of GMing and on a public stream?
Yeah, so the thing that I have learned in my game, and I don't know how well this will work for your sessions, but I have been really giving myself over to letting the players really lead what's going on. Like, I've stopped prepping maps because I worked really hard on them for hours for my first 2 arcs while I was on there, and then they just ignored them completely and just went other places. And the places that they were thinking to go were so cool that I got really excited about following that lead with them. And I think letting your players be invested in what's going on is going to lead to a more dynamic story than pushing them where you want.
I got that covered. That's no problem. I never liked railroading the characters. I always had the philosophy of give the players more options than they can possibly follow up on, right? Just like, here's 5 options, pick one or think of something different,
It's giving them all enough rope to hang themselves in interesting ways that you can watch.
Hey, I also want to mention, I saw John Bishop was watching us. He is going to be one of the cast members for the acting piece of Actaroki. Maybe I should explain just real quick before we leave.
Yes,
what we're doing with Actaroki, because Sarah's also going to be involved here. So what Actaroki is there's a 3-part cycle to it, and all of these are public streams that will be on Satine Phoenix's Gilding Light Twitch channel. and then uploaded to the Chaldea YouTube channel. And so this 3-part cycle, the first part is an RPG session. Okay, that's kind of what you would expect. We all get together and we play an RPG. But we record it, of course, and Steve will be furiously taking notes during the session, because Steve then, over the next 5 days, as our lead writer, Steve Conard, will be writing a screenplay adaptation of the RPG session. And then the second event in the 3-part cycle of Actaroki, which will be a week later, these are all Thursday evening, 6 p.m. on Pacific time, will be an actor studio session, where I will be live directing actors playing the parts from the screenplay. And so we'll have 5 lead actors who are playing the 5 player characters. Sarah is one of them. John Bishop is one of them. And then the next few days after that, I'm furiously editing together the footage from the directing session, plus art. Oh, our RPG sessions will include live art stream from Tanel Levitt, who has done a lot of the wonderful artwork for Chaldea. She will be illustrating scenes and characters from the story while we're playing. So we'll be interacting with an artist on the Twitch stream.
And her art is beautiful.
Her art is beautiful. She does great work, and she's fast. And so, which would be also important for this sort of thing. And then the third event in the Actaroki cycle will be a viewing party. We'll all get together. We'll play the video, and chat about it, hang out, that sort of thing. I got to figure it out. That's one thing I haven't figured out yet, is like how we fill the rest of the time, because I think Satine thinks I'm going to fill up 3 or 4 hours every Thursday night, but the viewing party is going to take like 20 minutes. So we got to. All right.
There are plenty of ways. I'll put it on my action item list.
Figure out how we're going to spend the rest of that time.
Perfect. I got it.
All right. Okay. Cool. Hey, yeah, we better close the stream down before I end up with an action item. So far, Sarah is. Those of you who joined us, thank you for joining us and hanging out with Sarah and I. As you can tell, we have a great working relationship, a great friendship, and it was fun to just get on here and chat together. And I love all the nice comments we're getting in chat. Thank you very much. And Sarah, thank you for being a friend.
Yay. Thank you for having me. It was super fun to come on and just kind of get to relive all of the fun stuff that we've done.
That's right. And many more to come, because, well, we're still young, and we have a lot of Chaldea story left to tell.
There's I feel like every time we talk, there's another season added. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
47 seasons deep. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going. All right. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your enthusiasm for Chaldea, and check us out next week. Next week we have a lot of stuff going on. Now we've wrapped up season 1.1. Season 1.2, of course, we are working on. We haven't been working on it as fast as we'd like because of COVID, but we are working on it, and someday it will come out as well. In the meantime, Actaroki and our podcasting series are what we will have to entertain you in the meantime. Thank you for.
And please find us on social media if you haven't already followed us. We're at World of Chaldea on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all 3. I was going to have them follow you, but you don't have anything. Sorry. I was so used to saying it. Peter is not on any of the other ones because he is only Facebook man. But if you would like to follow me, and YouTube.
Yeah, you're here now. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can
smash that like and subscribe. And if you would like to see any of the projects that I'm doing, you can follow me on Facebook at Actor Sarah Moore, and on Twitter and Instagram at Pixies and Pins.
There you go.
That's me.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.